So in this video, I'm going to go over 1 through 18. Miss Reiner's going to go over 19 through 35 in another video. So this is which expression is equivalent to 8 times 5 squared over 8 to the 7/4 times 5 to the negative 3. So when I taught this to you guys, I told you to break it up into two parts. So that part and this part, okay? So we're going to do 8, and we're going to bring this negative up. So that's 1 minus 7 over 4, which you can do in your calculator, times 5 to the 2 minus a minus 3. So this is going to be 8 to the negative 3/4. And this is going to be 5. Remember, when I subtract the negative, that's going to be a positive, so that's going to be 5 to the 5th. So that means that both of the 5 to the 5th is going to go on the top, and the 8 to the 3/4 is going to be on the bottom, so that's our answer right there. So the next one says which expression is equivalent to. What you're going to have to remember here is these are square roots. Our index is 2, so this is going to be b to the 12 over 2 over b to the 4 over 2. Bring it up again, so this b to the 12 over 2 minus 4 over 2. That's going to give us b to the 8 over 2, which we should all know is b to the 4th. So our answer here was A. When f is less than 0 and g is a positive integer, which is because f is negative, it says here. So negative f in parentheses over to the negative 6 over g is equivalent to which of the following expressions. So when we do this one, we're always going to keep that negative f in our set of parentheses. Okay, then we're going to put our radical. And because it's negative, it's going 1 over, right? And then remember, our index is our denominator, so our g goes here, and our 6 goes here. So the one that matches that is B. So this next one says use the information to answer the question. Gives us the expression that says c to the y. What is the value of y in the equation? So basically, this is asking us for the value of the exponent. So we're going to do c, and remember, we're multiplying across the top and the bottom, so that's going to be 8 over 3 on the top. And down here, we got c to the 7 over 3 times 5 over 3. And what we do in the denominator is we're going to add those because the bases are the same, right? So this is going to be c to the 8 over 3. And this is going to be c to the 7 over 3 plus 5 over 3. That's going to give us c to the 8 over 3 divided by c to the 12 over 3. Recall again, we're going to bring those both to the top. So that's going to be 8 over 3 minus 12 over 3, which is going to give us c to the negative 4 over 3. Because 8 minus 12 is 4, negative 4. So our exponent here is negative 4/3, and that's what it's asking us for. So our answer here again is B. So number 6. So on this one, we need to solve it. Okay, so what we want to do here is move that 6 first. So I'm going to do 7 minus 6 equals the square root of 6x plus 1. So we're going to square both sides once we get this. So this is going to be 1 squared equals 6x plus 1, right? So that's 1, and then we're going to subtract that 1 over there. That's going to give us 6x. So this is going to be 0 equals 6x. So then we're going to divide both sides by 6. So x is equal to 0. And if we do 6 times 0, right? So we put the 0 back up in here. So we do 6 times 0, that's 0, plus 1, that's the square root of 1, plus 6 is 7. So that is actually our answer. Now, if you recall, I'm going to show you guys how to do this in Desmos. So because we have that 7 on the other side of the equal sign, I'm going to put in here y equals 7. And if you notice, well, maybe I'm going to do that. I didn't, y equals 7. And if we scroll out, you can see that's a horizontal line at 7. And then I'm going to put the other equation down here, the other side. And so I'm going to use my square root symbol down here. So that's the square root of 6x plus 1. And then go outside of there and do another plus 6, right? Okay, so now here what we're looking for is the point of intersection between these two graphs, right? So notice this at 0. and that's why our answer is 0. So I told my students to go ahead and just put them in as about 2 equations every time. That way you will ensure that you will find the answer at the x value of the point of intersection. So just to show y'all, this should have been -6 up here, not -4. Okay, so correct that first, and then let's just check this. So then we're going to square both sides. So when we square the square root, the square root goes away. When we square this, we could use the box to find that, but it's x squared minus 12x plus 36. Then we're going to add 19 to both sides, and we're going to subtract 4x from 12x. So we do get negative 16x. Then we're looking for the factors of 55 here that add up to be negative 16. So that would be negative 5 and negative 11. So what we must do here once we get to this point is we need to check our answers, right? So up here, I'm going to put first our 5. So I'm going to do 4 times 5 minus 19 equals 5 minus 6. So this is going to be 20 minus 19. That's going to be the square root of 1, right? And this is equal to negative 1. Well, 1 definitely does not equal negative 1, right? So when we say equal to here, 1 does not equal negative 1. So this one is definitely not an answer, okay? So let's check the other one as well, the 5. So now we're going to check the 11. So now we're going to do 4 times 11 minus 19. And does that equal 11 minus 6? So this is going to be 44 minus 19. That's going to be equal to 5. So this is the square root of 25. Does that equal 5? Sure does. So 5 does equal 5. So our answer here is the 11, okay? Because that one did check out. So the answer here is D, because what he said was that both were correct. Whereas 5 is an extraneous solution and 11 is the solution, the actual solution. Oh, let me show you this too in Desmos. So on this one again, I would have put the square root of 4x minus 19 here. That's one of my equations. And then as my other equation, I would have put x minus 6. And notice they don't intersect over here at 5, but they do intersect over here at 11. See that? So that's how we know that that is our actual answer. So on this next one, I'm going to rewrite the equation first. So it's going to be x plus 2 equals the square root of x squared minus 8x plus 16. So we're going to square both sides again, so we can get rid of that square root. So we get x squared plus 4x plus 4 if we use the box method, and that's x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay, so now what we want to do is move everything. I'm going to just move everything to the left. So I'm going to subtract this x squared here. I'm going to add the 8x, and I'm going to subtract the 16. So now everything's over here is gone. So we have x squared minus x squared. The x squareds go away, right? So we got 12x minus 12 is going to be equal to 0. So we can factor out the 12. That leaves us x minus 1 equals 0. If we divide about 12 from both sides, then that just leaves us x minus 1 equals 0. So x is equal to 1. And we can check that answer again. 1 plus 2 is 3, right? And then this is going to be 1 squared minus 8 times 1 plus 16. So that's going to be 3 is equal to 1, minus 8 plus 16. So that's going to be actually what? 17 minus 8, which would be 9. So 3 is equal to the square root of 9. Yep, it is. 3 does equal 3. So our solution was x equals 1. Again, let me show you this on Desmos. So I'm going to put x plus 2 up here. For our first equation, for our second equation, I'm going to put our square root of x squared minus 8x plus 16 So here again, notice our intersection was at 1, and that's what we anticipated. So it's a great way to check your answers as well. So once again, I'm going to do this algebraically. So I've got 16 is equal to 2 times x plus 23 to the 1/4 plus 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. It's going to give me 6 equals 2 times x plus 23 to the 1/4 power. So I'm going to divide both sides by the 2. So that gives me 3 equals x plus 23 to the 1/4 power. Now how do I get rid of 1/4 power? I must multiply by its reciprocal, right? So we're going to do this to the 4th and the 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th is 81, and that's equal to x plus 23. Then we're going to subtract 23 from both sides, and that's going to give us 58. Now we can check that by plugging it back up in there. 58 plus 23. 58 up here, plus 23 is 81, and the 4th power of 81 we know is 3 because 3 to the 4th is 81. So 2 times 81. Sorry, that was 81. So that was, yeah, that was 3. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 plus 10 is 16. Okay? That's a good way to check it. So here's our next one. Again, going to do the same thing. 5x plus 12 to the 2/3 power. Now, this one's kind of tricky, guys, okay? So with the reciprocal of 2/3 is just 3/4, right? Or 2, yeah. 3 over 2. 3 over 2. So what does this mean? This means we're going to take the square root of 4, which remember always has a plus or minus in front of it. So that's going to be 2, and then we're going to take that 2 plus or minus 2. So our answer is going to be plus or minus 2 to the, whoops, I don't know what happened there, y'all. Let me do this again. Plus or minus 2, and then we're going to actually take that to the 3rd power. So that's going to give us a plus or minus 8, okay? So now we've got our 5x plus 12 equals plus or minus 8. So we've got 5x equals negative 12 plus or minus 8. So I'm going to break this up into 2 problems, okay? So it's going to be 5x equals negative 12 plus 8, which would be 5x equals what? Negative 4. So x equals negative 4/5. And then I'm also going to do my 5x equals a positive, negative 12 plus, yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not thinking clearly. So let me do this again. So we got our negative 12 now minus 8, right? So that's going to be 5x equals negative 20, and divide 5 into both sides again. And so we're going to get x equals negative 4. So we've got 2 answers for this one. And again, we can plug them back up in there and check them just to see if both of them work. If we do negative 4/5 times 5, that's going to be negative 4 plus 12. That's going to be what? Negative 4 plus 12 is going to be 8. The 3rd root of 8 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Okay, again, if we put negative 4 up there, we get negative 20 plus 12. That's negative 8. And again, the cube root of negative 8 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is 4. So both of those work. And let's check it again. Let me check both of them, actually. So let's check number 9 in Desmos. So on this one, we would have said y is equal to 16. And then we're also going to go down here and we're going to put in that whole equation that we had. 2 times x plus 23, close our parentheses, to the 1/4 power. I'm going to put that in parentheses, 1 divided by 4. Close the parentheses. Yeah, somehow. And then it had plus 10, right? Okay, so what are we looking for? Let's zoom out now. Remember, you got to zoom out so you can see stuff. So notice there is an intersection out here, and it was indeed at 58, which is what we thought. Okay, so now let's check the other one. So the other one was 5x plus 12 to the 2/3 power. Okay, so we're going to do this 2/3, 2 divided by 3. So that's our first equation. And then our other equation is y is equal to 4, if you remember what I said. So anytime it's just a number, we're going to say y is equal to 4. So here's our intersection at -4, and that one's at -0.8, which is -5/4. So normally if I was doing a problem like this where I had 4 equations, I would do it in Desmos. But I'm going to also show you guys how to do this algebraically just for practice, okay? So what we're going to do first is solve this first one algebraically. So we're going to square both sides first, right? To get rid of those square roots. So that's going to leave me with m over 5 is equal to 12 minus m. Going to multiply both sides by 5 to get rid of that 5 in the denominator. That gives me m equals 60 minus 5m. Going to add 5m to both sides. So that gives me 6m equals 60. Divide both sides by 6. So m is equal to 10. And we can check that out by putting that 10 back up in here. So 10 divided by 5 is the square root of 2. And 12 minus 10 is also the square root of 2. So that checks out for a solution, okay? So now we're going to do the next one. Same thing, right? So we're going to square both sides again. Now when we do that, the square root goes away. That's why we're doing it. And remember, you can use the box to find this if you don't know how to do it with the shortcut. But now we're going to move everything to the right. So we're going to add 14x. And we're going to subtract, we're going to subtract 2. So add 14x and subtract 2. So that's going to give us 0 is equal to x squared plus 8x plus 7. So we get x plus 1 and x plus 7. When I get those, they add up to be 8, don't they? When I factor that. Okay, so then we get x equals -1 and we get x equals 7. Sorry, -7. So I already know that this is going to be my no solution one, because when I put -1 up here, -1 minus 3 is -4, and I can't, unless there's a negative in front of that square root, y'all, that is going to result in, it's not going to ever result in a negative number, okay? So also when I put a -7 up there, if I put -7 up here, that's -10. That's not going to give me an answer either. So this one is our no solution. We're going to keep doing the rest just so you guys can get to practice and see how to do it. So on the next one, our first step is going to be to divide by 5, okay? So that's what we're going to do first. So that's going to give us the cube root of 4x plus 3 equals 3. To get rid of a cube root, we cube both sides. So 3 cubed is 27. So we got 4x plus 3 equals 27. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So we get 4x equals 24. Divide both sides by 4. So x is equal to 6. So when we do 4 times 6 up here, that's 24 plus 3 is 27. The cube root of 27 is 3. 5 times 3 is 15. So that one worked. We already said the answer was B, but again, we're just doing this for the sake of practice. Okay, so then the next one is going to be, again, we're going to square both sides. So that's going to give us x plus 18, because the reason we squared that was to get rid of that square root. Use your box to get this next one if you need to. So x squared plus 4x, minus 4x plus 4. So we're going to subtract x, and we're going to subtract 18 here. So we got zeros over here. We got x squared minus 5x minus 14. What are the factors of -14 that add up to be -5? That would be x plus 2 and x minus 7. Set both of those equal to 0. So x is going to be equal to -2 and x is going to be equal to 7. So once again, I can see that if I put this answer right here, the -2 up here, that's going to give me a negative number. So there's no way that could be my solution. That's got to be an extraneous solution. So if we try the 7 plus 18 right here is going to be 25, and 25, the square root of 25 is 5, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So this is our answer. So let's look at this now in Desmo. So anytime I have a variable like an m, I'm just going to use x, okay? So I'm going to do the square root of x divided by 5 here. So I'm going to do the square root of x divided by 5 for my first equation. My second equation is going to be the square root of 12 minus x, actually. 12 minus x. Okay, so see that intersection right there at 10, and that was the answer we got. So that is obviously not a no solution. Let's check our next one. So again, we're going to do the square root, and you're going to see how much faster it is to do it this way, guys, considering how long it just took me to do that problem. So 14x plus 2 for my first equation. My second equation is going to be x minus 3. Okay, see, they do not intersect at all. You see that? Okay, so now let's look at our third one. So this one's going to be 5 times. This one's going to be a little bit different in the way that we're going to enter it because it's a cube root. So we're going to say 4x. Now you could do the cube root under functions. Actually, let me go there. So let's go back. So we're going to do 5, and then we're going to here to functions, and down here, if you remember, all the way down here to this, then we can do our cube root if we want to. Just click under here and then do our 4x plus 3. Or you can take it to the 1/3 power. Remember, they're interchangeable. So, okay, now that one's going to be equal to, no, this time we have a number on the other side. So we're going to say y is equal to 15. And we do, again, have another solution there, 6. That's the solution we got. Okay, so now let's do our last one. Again, we're going to do the square root of x plus 18 for our one equation, and then x minus 2 for the other. And again, see, we got 7. Notice we did not get the -2. It did not intersect twice. Okay, so this is just another way for us to double check our answers. Okay, so this next one says nurses carefully track the height and weight of infants to ensure that they ensure, that should say ensure, y'all, that they are healthy as they grow. The average height in inches of a girl in the first 3 years of life can be modeled by the equation h of a is equal to 3 times the square root of a plus 19, where a is the age of the girl in months. Which answer choice represents the equivalent equation? Estimate the age of the girl whose height is 30 inches. So what we need to do is solve for a, right? So we're going to write our original equation, h equals 3 times the square root of a plus 19. Now we want to get a by itself, so the first thing we're going to do is subtract 19 from both sides. That's going to be h minus 19, so that's going to leave us with 3 times the square root of a. Then we must divide by 3. Okay, and so now we have h minus 19 equals the square root of a. Now how do we, divided by 3. How do we get rid of the square root? We square it, right? So we're going to square both sides. So that's what my a is going to be equal to, because remember, these two cancel each other out. So we're looking for that equation. That's what we want to look for first. So h minus 19 over 3 squared. So it's not this one, and it's not this one. Okay, so it's got to be C or D. Now we want to plug in the 30. So we're going to do 30 minus 19 divided by 3, and then we're going to square that number. So that's going to actually be 11 divided by 3 squared. And when I do that, I got 13.4. Okay. So our next one says if an object's dropped from a hot air balloon at an altitude of 500 feet, the object's height after t seconds can be modeled by h of t is equal to negative 16t squared plus 500. Which answer choice represents the equivalent equation? Estimate how many seconds it would take for the object to reach a height of 300 feet. So, what are we solving for here? We're solving for time, right? So I don't even see an a in the equation, so I don't know where these came from, guys. I have no clue where those came from, but let's go ahead and solve this. So we got h is equal to negative 16t squared plus 500. So we're going to subtract 500 from both sides, obviously. So it's going to be h minus 500 equals negative 16t squared. So then we're going to divide both sides by negative 16. That's supposed to be a 6, y'all. 1 6, sorry. That's 16. Let me make that clearer. My bad. Okay. So now we're left with t squared. T squared is equal to, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and change this because I don't like that negative on the bottom. So we're just going to change the signs of the stuff on the top. So it's going to be 500 minus h over 16. which is what it says up there, okay? And so then what do we do to get rid of the t squared? We take the square root, right? Take the square root of that, and that's how we're going to get the t. So those are our two equations. So now what we need to do is put our 300 in there. So we're going to do 500 minus 300 divided by 16, and then take the square root of that number. And when I did that, I got 3.5 seconds. So that was our answer right there. Okay, so this one says the volume for spheres V is equal to 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. If the volume is 1543.5 pi centimeters cubed, find the inverse function, then find the radius. Okay, so it's looking for r. So the first thing we want to do is just multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of that denominator. So it's going to leave us with 3b is equal to 4 pi r cubed. Then we could divide both sides by 4 pi, couldn't we? So now we got rid of the 4 pi, so we got r cubed is equal to 3v over 4 pi. What's our last step? Yes, take the cube root of both sides, right? So that's going to be equal to r. That's our equation. So let's see if we can find that equation. 3b 4 pi. So it's not this one. It's not this one. So now that means we've got to plug in our volume. Okay, so we're going to do 3 times 1543.5 pi divided by 4 pi. Well, hopefully you can see pretty quick that these two cancel each other out. So we're just going to do 3 times, and then we're going to take the cube root of whatever we get there, okay? And when I did that, I got 10.5 as my answer. All right, now this is which equation is equivalent to. So it's solving for S1. So that's what we're going to do. So R is equal to the nth root of S1 divided by S2 plus 4. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract 4 from both sides. That's going to be R minus 4 is equal to the nth root of S1 over S2. How do we get rid of an nth root? Don't we take it to the nth power? Yes. So now we have R minus 4 to the nth power is equal to S1 divided by S2. How do we get rid of that thing in the denominator so we can get S1 by itself? We're going to multiply both sides by S2, right? So S1 is going to be equal to S2 times R minus 4 to the nth power. So which one is that? I think that's our B. So this says the parent function of fs is a cube root of x is translated 3 right, so that would be minus 3, because remember we always put opposite of what we think when it's underneath the radical, and that's underneath the radical. Vertically stretched, so that stays 4, and that's going to be outside what? The radical, right? Outside the radical, and then translated 5 down, so that's going to be minus 5. So I'm looking for a minus 3, so it's obviously not that one. And then it says stretched vertically by 4, so we're looking for a 4 on the outside. So it obviously is not that one, and it's not that one. So this has got to be our answer, and let's double check because we got a negative 5, yep, and a negative 5 there. So, all right. This one says which answer describes the transformation that occurs to the function. So let's talk about what this is. This means it's what? This means that we have a reflection over the x-axis, right? Okay, what does this 3 right here mean? This is a horizontal shrink. Remember, anything under there changes. So this is a horizontal shrink by 1/3. And remember, that word could also be compression. And then what is this 4 right here? This means it's up 4. Okay, so let's see what we got. Reflection over x, all of them say that. Then we have a vertical no, vertical no. Okay, we have a horizontal shrink by 1/3, right? So obviously not that one either. And then we got our up 4, so that checked out. So yep, our answer was D. All right, last one, guys. Which statement is false about the transformation occurred in the function? So again, this is going to be a what? Vertical, because it's outside the radical. Shrink by 1/5. This one is going to be a horizontal, what? Yep. Shrink, because it's opposite of what it looks. By 1/8. Because remember, we always put the inverse there. And then what do we have here? This is going to be 6 left. Remember, that's horizontal change. And then our last thing here is this 2. So that's 2 up. Okay, so let's check this stuff out. We're looking for false, okay? So vertical stretch of 5. Well, there it is. That's our false statement right there. Okay, because we had a vertical shrink by 1/5. The 6 up or 6 left works. The 2 up works. The horizontal compression by 1/8 works. There's another video, guys, going over 19 through 35 by Miss Reiner, and that is going to be posted as well.